The secret of sin. What you never suspect can kill you. What is the secret of sin? Since the wages of sin is death, what the heck is sin? You will be surprised. One day you will die, as it is written. It is appointed unto men once to die. Sin is the breaking of God's law. I have a question. Where does sin get its power? Guess where sin gets its power. Sin gets its power from wickedness, the devil, the 10 Commandments, the sins of the flesh. Which one would you think? Let's try wickedness. Sorry, wrong answer. Let's try the sins of the flesh. That's where sin gets its power. Sorry, wrong answer. Of course, it's the devil. That's where sin gets its power. Wrong answer. Then it's certainly not the 10 Commandments, so it'll be none of the above. That's the wrong answer. The strength of sin is the law. The 10 Commandments are called the law of Moses. And the power of sin is the law. That's the secret of sin. The power of sin is the 10 Commandments, or the law. So why did God give the law to man? You won't believe it. Romans 3:19 says, the law was given that every mouth would be stopped. That means without alibi. And that the whole world would become guilty before God. Why? Because whosoever shall keep the whole law and yet offends it or breaks it in one point is guilty of all. So you mean to tell me, if I kept the law perfectly, wouldn't that please God? Absolutely not. The law is merciless. And what if you kept the law perfectly? Why wouldn't that please God? Because Galatians 3:12 states that the law is not of faith. And without faith, it is impossible to please God. Hebrews 7:19 states that the law makes nothing perfect. Therefore, if you kept the law perfectly, it would not mean that you were perfect, just as a child who gets a perfect score on its paper. It does not mean that they were perfect. So what purpose did the law serve? The law served the purpose of God's wrath. Romans 4:15. The purpose of the law, it's holy, it's just, it's good, and it shows God's strict standards for holiness and perfection. The law gives us an understanding of what sin is, and the law condemns to death anyone who offends it and fails to obey it perfectly. The law was our schoolmaster to bring us to Christ, that we might be justified by faith. The only thing that pleases God, and the only thing that can satisfy the demands of God. Many preachers will tell you to keep the law. Nevertheless, what saith the Scripture? Romans 4:15 says the law works wrath. 1 Corinthians 15:56 says the law is the power of sin. Hebrews 7:19 says the law makes no one perfect. Galatians 3:12 states the law is not of faith, so it cannot please God. Romans 5:20 says the law makes sin to abound to your death. Galatians 3:11 says the law justifies no one in the sight of God. 2 Corinthians 3:7 says the law is the administration of death. 2 Corinthians 3:8 says the law is the administration of condemnation. Galatians 3:10 says the law is a curse, for no human can keep it. Like most ministers, the Apostle Paul confessed that he too was deceived, thinking that the law was ordained unto life, but he found it to be unto death. What did Jesus say about the law? The good Lord said Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy the law, but to fulfill it. For truly I say unto you, not one jot or tittle shall pass from the law until all of it is fulfilled. Many preachers tell only half the story when they said that Jesus did not come to destroy the law. But after Jesus Christ fulfilled the law, guess what he did to it? Jesus Christ fulfilled the law and then nailed it to his cross. Colossians chapter 2, verse 14. Jesus fulfilled the law for us because it was against us and contrary to us. He took it out of the way, nailing it to his cross. Without the law, Romans 7:8 says, sin is dead. So Jesus Christ took the law and nailed it to his cross. This, in effect, killed sin. Ephesians 2:15 says Jesus Christ abolished in his flesh the enmity or the enemy, which is the law of commandments, the power of sin, contained in ordinances, to reconcile Jews and Gentiles to God, having slain the enemy or the enmity, the law, thereby. Romans 4:15 says, where there is no law, there is no sin. Colossians 2:14 says, Christ blotted out the handwriting of ordinances, which was against us and contrary to us, and took it out of our way, nailing it to his cross. It was called the handwriting of ordinances, and it was the handwriting of God. After Christ satisfied the law, he crucified the law, laying down the law. Christ is the end of the law for righteousness, for everyone who believes. For our faith is counted for righteousness. Never our obedience to the law, for if you offend the law on one point, you are guilty of all. Christ is the end of the law for righteousness for all those who believe. Jesus paid it in full. Jesus paid the debt of the law. Christ redeemed us from the curse of the law. Galatians 3:13. Now we are delivered from the law. Romans 7:6. Ye are not under law, but under grace. The law was born at Mount Sinai on stone, and it died at Mount Calvary on the cross. I was crucified with Christ, slain and abolished. That's what the law would tell you. Why did Christ crucify the law for us? Without the law, sin is dead. Romans 7:8. And where there is no law, there is no sin. Romans 4:15. Sin is not imputed, which means charged against you, when there is no law. When there is no speed limit, like on the Autobahn, then no offense was committed. No tickets. Believers are literally saved by grace, as the blessed of the Lord, to whom the Lord will not impute, which means count sin. For sin is not imputed, which means charged against you, unless you were under the law, and ye are not under the law, but under grace. Romans 4:7-8 and 6:14. Has any preacher ever told you that sin has been dead for over 2,000 years? That, my friend, is the secret of sin. You may read more about this from my free book online at www.haveyouheardthegoodnews.com. It's called 100 Reasons Why Born-Again Believers Cannot Lose Their Salvation. What then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. It is written, brethren, you have been called unto liberty. Only use not your liberty as an occasion to the flesh, but by love serve one another. Yeah, but what does God forbid mean? The New Testament use of God forbid is not an American slang or an American colloquialism. God forbid does not mean certainly not, may it never be, let's hope not, surely not, heavens no, perish the thought, far be it, By no means or absolutely not. God forbid means that God has forbidden the possibility to exist. The Bible asks the question, is Christ the minister of sin? God forbid. This does not mean may it never be. It means it shall never be. Then it asks, is the law sin? God forbid. It does not mean may it never be. It means it shall never be because God has forbidden it to be. Is there unrighteousness of God? Scripture asks, and then it states, God forbid. It does not mean certainly not. It means it cannot be, for God has forbidden that possibility to be, that there be unrighteousness with him. Shall your unbelief make God's faith ineffective? God forbid. Means God has forbidden the possibility of your unbelief overthrowing his faith. So what does it mean, shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? God forbid. It means that God has forbidden the possibility of any believer continuing in sin. For it asks, how shall we then who are dead, not dying, but dead to sin, live any longer therein? The answer is God has forbidden that possibility to be. How? Because in him we live, and in him we move, and in him we have our being born again. And in him there is no sin. 1 John 3:5. By the cross, not only are believers' sins washed away, but sin is now dead to us. As it is written, without the law, sin is dead, and it was crucified by Christ on the cross, along with our old man, which was the nature of sin, human nature, and it was crucified graveyard dead with Christ, and we are now free from sin, as it is written, that he that is dead is free from sin. Romans 6:6 says, now our old man was crucified with him, that our body of sin might be destroyed, that henceforth we no longer serve sin. For ye are dead, and your life was hid with Christ in God, and in him is no sin.
So the secret of sin is that sin has been dead for over 2,000 years, since Christ nailed it to his cross, as it is written, without the law, sin is dead. And the other secret of sin was that the power of sin is the law. 1 Corinthians 15:56. Again, for more information on this issue, check out the free book called 100 Reasons Why Born Again Believers Cannot Lose Their Salvation at www.haveyouheardthegoodnews.com. I'm James Warden, and this is Have You Heard the Good News?